So this is the ShoreTel Desktop Connect client. This is obviously, I'm running on a Windows, but I do have a user running it on Mac, and it does look identically the same. So as I said, it's a fully featured between Windows and Mac. It will look identically the same. Very similar size when you've docked it to 14.2 in the communicator, the new Connect client. The difference, like I mentioned, is on 14.2 you have a lot of tabs on the bottom of the screen. They've moved a lot of those to the left side of the screen, to like the left side, and as I click on something, it's going to expand out. So I'm going to start off at the very top. I have our dialer just similar to like I had in 14.2. I have a dialer option. I have this enter a name or number very similar to 14.2. I can put in somebody's name here, and I can get all the different information about that person. If I wanted to, I can put a phone number in here to dial a phone number. If I type in a phone number and hit the enter key, it will dial automatically. If I want to select a user, it pops up on the right-hand side, and it gives me more information about that, about that employee or that contact that I have. So here I can see his LinkedIn picture for James. I can see extension number. I can click the green call button if I want to call James. I could do the drop down here, and I can see more information. So if I had a mobile number or a home or a work number built into the ShoreTel system for him, I can simply click on which one I want to call. I could dial his mailbox, send him a voicemail. And then I have some of my other features that are similar to 14.2 on my intercom, my whisper page, and those are all permission-based. If I don't have the permissions for them, they won't be available, they'll be grayed out for me. I have my alert when available, same feature I had in 14.2. So if James is on the phone, I want the system to alert me when he becomes available. Go ahead and do that. Or I can call with an account code. If you're using account codes for like long distance purposes or for billing purposes, you put in account codes. That's where I would handle that from. The new buttons that you kind of see right below his picture and name, the first one is a camera. So that one's like if I want to do a video call with James, if we both have a video, a camera set up, and we're enabled for video calling, I can simply call that and start a one-to-one video call. The one next to with the three dots, that's the share your screen. I can simply one-click, and it sends him a desktop sharing request, and it shares out my screen to him. So if you're talking to another employee, simply click the share button, and I can share out my screen to show him exactly what I'm doing. Very helpful in an IT world when you're trying to troubleshoot a communicator or something, one-click desktop sharing. If I was talking to James, the little person with the plus sign is the conference button, so I could add in another party. Or the phone with a little arrow is a transfer. So if I was talking to him, I could transfer to somebody else. Obviously, those are grayed out because I'm not talking to him. I can't add those. I can't complete those functions. So on the bottom half, you'll see this is my IM history with James. So I can scroll up, and it goes all the way back on the IM history. So I can go back and look for something. I can obviously just type a new message here. So what it did is it just did a refresh on it, got rid of the screen I wasn't using, and it put him in as a conversation right here. So if I had multiple IM conversations, they would be listed. I can see that he's offline, so I texted him, and he does say this right underneath available. It says that's his IM status. It says he's offline, so I knew I was IMing somebody who was offline anyway, but this is where I can do that and kind of control my instant messaging history. If I do the drop down here where it says messages, I can also look at other times. I can look at everything and see all the times I've called him or instant message with him. I can, it's kind of a big history of everything I've done. It would show me voicemails from him, all of that information, all about my communication with James. If I just want to see my calls, I can select that. I can see all the different times he's called me or I've called him, or red shows a missed call. If I click down again, I can look at voicemails to see if he's left me any voicemails. So you see he's left me a voicemail a few months ago. I just have it in my box as marked as heard. And then last, I could go back to just the instant messages that we've transferred back and forth. So nice little kind of overview of all of your communications with James, so you can, or with any other employee, so you can kind of keep all of the information about that person in one window inside of the client. When I'm ready to get rid of this screen and go back to the smaller one, I simply minimize James's window, and I'm back to my small screen. So as I mentioned, it kind of gets bigger as you use it, and then it goes back down when you're done using it. If I want to change my call handling modes, I simply click on the green arrow, and I can pick between in a meeting, out of office, do not disturb, vacation, custom. And obviously, each one of those just in 14.2, you can have different routing rules and different voicemail greetings for each of them. If I click on my name, I can open up my profile, and this is like where I can sync it my photo with LinkedIn. So if I want to allow all the other employees to see my, my photo is part of when they're my contact, I can sync it with my LinkedIn. If I update my LinkedIn photo, it'll update the photos here. This is where I can also assign my phone. So in the previous 14.2, you had your little extension assignment drop-down where you could assign it to a soft phone, to your cell phone, or send it back home. Same thing here. You can see that I'm assigned to a desk phone, but it says you're not assigned to your own desk phone, which means I'm logged into another phone. And you can see here just a little defect right here. It says go back to my desk phone. Well, even if I size this out, it doesn't fix that. Just like I said, there's just some small defects they're still working on, and that one actually, I haven't seen it before, but I just installed a new version, so that's obviously a defect in this new version that they're still working on. The other defect you can see from my screen here is I resized my screen, and now that once I resize my screen, my mouse won't allow me to leave that window until I click one more time, and then it'll allow me to leave the window. Just like I said, there's just some small defects in the desktop client mainly that they're still working on, and that's one of the reasons we're recommending, just holding off a little bit longer while they resolve some of these smaller, non-major issues, obviously, but I can also assign myself to a soft phone and select which type of microphone and headset I want to use, or I can assign myself to my external assignment if I just want to assign my calls to my cell phone. I would do that from here. Everybody has, if you have a ShoreTel conference bridge and you move to Connect, every user gets a reservation list conference pre-built for them, and by clicking your My Conference Bridge, you can access your personal bridge information. And I know there's a defect in this one, so it's blank. In this build, it worked until I did the upgrade. It would list you your bridge information here. So at any time you can say, hey, call this phone number, put in this code, and I'll hop on that bridge. Just a quick meeting room you can always use, which is nice. If I want to go to my settings, this opens up the Connect desktop client settings from here, so I can modify anything about my configuration inside my Connect client. Questions about profiles or the dialer or anything like that? Let's see, I see, can you put a quota on that folder not allowing the folder to save IAM history? When I look at my settings, I'm going to pull my settings over here. I have my canned response, blocked response. On the user side, nothing is configurable to them, where in the previous one, the users configure where they want to store their IAM history. All of that's done server side now. So any server side settings we have, and like I mentioned, there's no IAM settings available in the admin interface for that, so it would all have to be done on the SA100 IAM appliance, and I haven't seen any notes yet on allowing customization. That I think their big thing was getting it enabled and then rolling out some additional IAM feature capabilities in Connect, 1.1 or whatever, the feature, the releases of Connect to add additional features in. The big thing was in Connect is let's get a bunch of the new features deployed in it, and then we can work on customizing, additional customization of those features down the road. But I'll send out, when I send out to Larry, I'll send out to Cameron too the information about the instant messaging, but I don't believe that you have that capability in the initial release of Connect. Okay, so that takes care of our profile. So I'm going to start on people. People is just, like I said, is your replacement. Favorites is your replacement for your contacts. Well, the only way to get to favorites is through your people. So people is broken down into two categories. You have your favorites, which you can control, and then you have your groups. Anybody you want to put in your favorites, this is similar to your contacts tab. I want to put somebody in here. Well, I type in their name or number here, so I'm looking for Chris. I want Chris Congo, so he's already starred, so let's go to Jason. I don't think... Okay, so I have Jason. You notice there's no star next to Jason's name, which means he's not on my favorites list. I'm going to go ahead and check, put a star there, go back to my people, and I should have a J Polak right there. So now you see that I have Jason Polak as a favorite. I click on him, and you can see that I don't have an IM history with Jason, and he hasn't uploaded a new picture, and that's because I think he started a week ago, so he probably just hasn't gotten to some of those things yet. From here, I can go back to James if I want, just like, usually you'd use this to call people. If you're looking to click on a user and call them without using your phone, that's what your favorite's going to be. The other nice advantage of your favorites is you can see the green bar on the left side of their name tells you their call handling mode. So you can see that Chris Riccio here, when I put my cursor over it, he's in a meeting. Next to it, I can see the little instant messaging icon telling me is their instant messaging client online or offline. So are they available to take instant messaging, yes or no? From here, the new feature that wasn't in ShoreTel 14.2 is groups. And I've only built one group just for testing purposes. So I built an engineers group, and I put 5 people into my engineers group. I have the same kind of capability in here, but if I click on the engineers group, I get some group information. So I can start a group chat, which is nice, be able to chat with each other and say, hey, is anybody working on this issue, or has anybody reached out to this customer or something like that? I can also schedule a meeting with this group or send the group a voicemail. So as I own this group because it's on my, just for me locally, I can edit the group and add additional members to the group if I want, or I can add, you can create it and add additional groups as desired. I haven't seen a limit on the groups. I'm sure there is a number of groups you can add, but you can add, the different groups that you wanted to control. Similar to the contacts tab in 14.2, these are personal groups, so they're all user defined. And as you're, in your Connect training, you want to make sure that the users know that they can build these and control these however they would like. So group chat is probably the biggest new, chat feature that they've added besides the archiving capabilities in here. As I go back to favorites, I have some different sorting options. I can sort by name, by last contact, or by availability. Most of the time I sort by name, and it sorts by last name if you notice it's sorting by last name here. So like before, I'm done with the groups. It's taken up a lot of space. I simply minimize to go back down to my small window so it's not taking up my whole monitor space. Questions on groups or people, I guess.
Got a couple here. Maybe just one. Can you import groups and people?
So currently I don't have the capability to import groups or people, but it is on the feature list to be added. I've seen the feature list for the next major one, and I don't know if it's, I know it's on the chart coming to be able to import favorites and groups into your desktop client. So as of right now, it's not available. I would you have to simply build your groups manually or build your favorites similar like you do in your 14.2 client, but it is a feature they are planning on adding down the road. All right, so we're going to move over to recent, and this is probably the biggest change here. Is in 14.2 you had a history tab, you had a voicemail tab. Those tabs have kind of been merged into a recent tab. So in my recent tab, I have some different options that I can see, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So I have a drop-down list here, just similar to like I had on James. When I was looking at James, I had in everything. I have calls, I have voicemail, and I have messages. So everything is going to mix my calls, my voicemail, and everything onto one big window, which kind of makes it hard to use because there's so many things in there. So let's just get it down to calls. Just show me all the calls. All this information is stored on the server, so we're not storing a ton of information on the local PC. So it requested it from the server. Now I can see my different calls. Like I said, red means a missed call. Outbound or inbound, the phone call, the icon looks different. In here, if I was looking for Travis, I can click on this call, get the information about Travis, similar like I did from the favorites tab. If I want to look at my voicemails, from my drop-down, I select voicemails. So this is kind of the biggest thing to get used to. People are like, where are my voicemails? So you got to go to recent and then select the voicemails from the drop-down. And now you can see if any of these were bold, it would be, let's say if I marked it as like unheard, it would go bold again. Send this. So like now I have a call coming in. I'm going to go ahead and send that one to voicemail because I'm not sure who it was. So I can see all my voicemails. If I wanted to play any of these messages, I simply click on the message once. It gives me some information about the, about the person. I can click the play button here. I can, if it's a ShoreTel user, I can reply to the message, but I can say forward. Oh, this call is actually for Travis. I can forward the message to somebody, mark it as urgent, just similar I can do in 14.2. Same functionality there. Deleted, and as you see here, just a minor, the deleted tab button is just a little bit off the screen, even though I make it bigger, then it'll fix it, but it doesn't resize quite properly yet, so just another minor thing they're working on. In the voicemails dropdown, I can also go to my messages, and this is all of my IM history. So if I'm looking to see who I've had an IMs with, I can go back and look. Oh yeah, and any of these you pick, you can obviously see the IM history with that person. So if I pull up, Mike, it pulls up his here, and I have his messages here. I have his calls, his voicemails, everything similar. So once you get to the user pane, the user pane is always the same regardless of if you came from the people, the recents, the search field. Everything gets to the same user tab, and I get the same information about everybody once I get to the user tab. Here I can also, if I'm looking at calls or anything, I can flag by all calls or missed calls. If I flagged a voicemail for follow-up, I can check those as well inside your recent. So recent history voicemail is really what you're going to use your recent tab for. Any questions on recent? Nope. All right. So we have our events. This is a new tab here where I can control what I can see as far as my current history with my Outlook syncing. I don't have any upcoming ShoreTel meetings. I can simply add a new meeting though, put a title in here for it, pick a date and time. Is it reoccurring? I could put some additional presenters in here if I want Travis to also be a presenter. And then here I could do a little agenda item. So we're going to do a 5-minute intro, a sales overview for 20 minutes, and then some training for 30 minutes. So you see I have an agenda now, and then I can put an overview in here. If I want to attach a presentation that people can use, I can select here. It was on my other screen, so you didn't see it. From Dropbox, I added a PowerPoint presentation to it, and then I would just hit create, and I can send additional, if it's a presentation, I can put in some people that are going to just be watching the presentation, and they'll get invites and stuff like this, and this will integrate to my Outlook calendar and push it over my Outlook calendar when I add the event. So I want to discard because I don't want that on my calendar. And the last thing in the desktop client is the Workgroups. So as I'm looking at Workgroups, similar to 14.2, I still have my login, my log out. I have my wrap up capabilities. Here, I'm only a member of one workgroup, so I can see if there's any queued calls, longest queues, or longest call information. I can show the details if I want to look at my queues. So show me the calls that are queued up. Obviously, there's no calls queued up. Or show me the agent statuses. I'm a supervisor in this queue, so I can see all of my agent statuses if they're on the phone. I can also click and I can log that person out or put them in wrap-up. If I need to, if I have a user logged out, I can log them in as a workgroup agent. And then I can look at voicemails assigned to this work group, which doesn't happen to be any, which is normal for this one. So pretty similar to what you have in 14.2 as far as workgroups. As a workgroup supervisor or workgroup agent, you pretty much have the same functionality as you had in the 14.2 communicator client.